You're listening to Second Cut. Hopefully I timed that intro right because I decided to start talking. This is the weekly podcast from the Film Magazine where we talk about topics in film, theory, criticism, history, discussion, I don't know, stuff like that.
You cut this down at one point.
I rehearsed it this morning while I was trying to make myself get out of bed.
In the shower.
Yeah. Nope, but screwed it up this time, but it's cool. We're talking about movie stuff. I'm Jacob, and I'm the one who forgot the intro again. No, hang on. I'm Jacob, and I'm the one who is interested but zoned out.
I'm Sam. I'm the one who doesn't really get that excited about the Oscars, to be honest. Why am I here?
I'm Kieran. I'm the one that is still fairly sure that Jacob has us muted.
No, we're good. Because I had to manually undo it because I didn't set up my new my Stream Deck button again that I used to unmute you. So
in which case I'll go for version 2. I'm Kieran. I'm the one that is completely CGI'd.
He is. Wonderful visual effects we have here at TFM/Second Cut.
I was going to say, this is where most of our budget goes into.
Yes, precisely. Yeah, so we're talking Oscars, although, I mean, none of us really care about them.
Again, it's always the thing that we don't care about the Oscars until they prove our point. It's like,
even then, I don't care anymore.
They're Anglo-centric. They don't discuss the world of cinema. They're always biased. It's like, but Lord of the Rings won 11 of them for one movie, therefore it's awesome.
Yeah,
it always happens.
And the Parasite year, it's like, yeah, you made the right decision there as well.
Yeah.
I found this comic today. There's a strip from the 1940s America or something called Nancy by Ernie Bushmiller, and I read one today. Where she's with some guy, and he's like, wasn't that a great movie, Nancy? And she said, wonderful. I never had such a good time. It was grand. She's a little kid. She goes home to read the movie review and starts crying, and he goes, what's wrong? And you know that movie we enjoyed so much? I just found out it's terrible. Oh.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Welcome to our job.
I mean, look, I don't care enough about my own thoughts on things to care that they're validated on TV for an entertainment television program.
Yeah. And I think as we kind of covered in the Siskel and Ebert episode, if it's a good critic and they argue their points well, even if you disagree with it, it still makes for good reading. It still adds to the conversation. It's worth your time.
And I think a good critic, even if you disagree with them, you can see how they arrived at their conclusions, or where they're coming from at the very least, and that's always the line to draw.
I think the most important to me. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say it's a bit disheartening that you sometimes can't see kind of how the Oscar voters arrived at their conclusions.
Yeah.
But,
Well, at least they will have Best Picture last this year. A few years ago.
I will say maybe we should do this if we could ever figure out how to watch them before they start getting released, but I do care about what happens at Cannes, so if something wins there, it actually matters somewhat. If something is released there, I'm gonna go out of my way to watch it unless it's Indiana Jones, or try to, or think about it at the very least.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was. It might have been something like Peter Bradshaw or Mark Kermode that got asked by, I think it was Cannes or Berlin or something like that, why are you never on the panel of judges? Why are these critics never on the panel of judges? And it's like, because we're all too busy getting paid to do our jobs to go and review the films. And it's quite funny. My old lecturer, Hugh, and my old producer boss, technically, at one point, he was trying to get all his MA students to go on a trip to Cannes, and then it's like, can we go see some of the films? And he's like, why would you go see the films? The point of going to Cannes is to essentially network to get jobs. So there are two sides of Cannes. Obviously, it's the biggest kind of film distribution and pickup place in the world as well. Most of it is a film fair where people try and sell.
I mean, generally, it's a cattle market, but with arts, basically, isn't it? It's like it's a bidding war.
Yeah, essentially his thing of Cannes wasn't like, this really good place to see films. It was, this is a really good bar to go to. Welcome to Cannes.
So
French.
this is the 96th Academy Awards, and I think what really stands out to me from this is something I literally just learned before we started the show, is that there are diversity rules for the Best Picture category. The 4 general standards that a film must satisfy to be considered for Best Picture are on-screen representation, themes and narratives, creative leadership and project team, industry access and opportunities, and audience development, which I guess that means like getting not English-speaking white people to watch your movies. I don't know, but I think that's interesting. I don't know how like enforceable it is or could.
Can you read those out again, please?
Yeah. So one,
just for Best Picture, yeah.
Yes, on-screen representation, themes, and narratives, which I don't know what that means. I'm sure there's somewhere that explains
it. Because I'm hearing that and I'm going, oh, that explains Crash. That explains Green Book.
Yeah.
Is this on the back? Is this on the back of Oscar So White, or does it go back further?
Well, yeah. It's so. I mean, look, I'm literally reading out of Wikipedia because we only do the best work here. But for the 94th and 95th Academy Awards, filmmakers were just required to submit a confidential Academy Inclusion Standards form for data purposes only. So now I guess they are looking for films that do go out of their way to like for standard 3 industry access and opportunities. Like, and I guess B as well, creative leadership and project team, incorporating women, incorporating not white people.
That's 94th and 95th. This sounds like a post-COVID, post-Me Too thing. That they're now having to throw in to try and do stuff. Maybe it was also kind of a response to the massive thing of Black Panther, and they're like, okay, maybe we should add this in as part of the thing, because as I've said before, I don't think even Black Panther is like the best Marvel movie probably from like that year even, and I think it got nommed like almost purely for the racial aspect. I'm not saying it wasn't a good film. I'm just saying there were better ones that didn't get nommed. The
inclusion of like non-white people in a major superhero film that made tons of money, like, and I do think there was a socio-cultural phenomenon there that made it worth it. You know,
I mean, just a cursory kind of glance down the list of nominees this year, it does seem a bit more diverse than normal. So maybe it's
Anatomy of Falls in there, Past Lives is in there, Zone of Interest.
I mean, unusually, I mean, I did a list last year of all the small handful of films not in English nominated for Best Picture in the history of the Oscars, and I've updated it this year. And there's three out of the 10 are not in English this year, which is unusual for the Oscars. I mean, that makes.
I was going to say, Past Lives is hard.
Yeah, but you kind of.
Yeah, we'll give it to
Again, it's a weird thing. It's like what you had with Minari the other year as well. It's like there's a certain percentage of the dialogue has to be not in English, and it's
because there's always a thing of what is it? Is it best film not in the English language or best foreign film, or what is the actual title of it now?
It's
best
called
international
feature. Yeah, it's called international feature. So it used to be called best foreign film, and then it was called best film not in English language. Now it's international feature. Yeah.
And I think for whenever I'm looking at the film that got the most nominations, Oppenheimer, like I don't think of diversity when I think of that movie. I think it's a bunch of white guys and naked Florence Pugh and a little bit of Emily Blunt. Now I don't want to discount like what.
But it's got an Irishman in it, so obviously there's your diversity.
Nolan's British. I don't want to discount anybody who contributed that I'm not aware of. Work Nolan did behind the scenes to purposefully include. But like seeing Oppenheimer with the Best Picture nomination, I'm not looking at this going, white people are being oppressed. Not that I would do that anyway, but
as pleasingly diverse by Oscar standards as the list is this year. Who are we kidding? Are either of you under any illusions that Oppenheimer is walk it?
Yeah,
it's going to get everything it's nominated for. I would imagine. Well, maybe not the supporting category.
I don't think it'll get Best Picture.
What do you think
Do you
will
know?
get Best Picture?
Well, let's talk about that later.
I'm gonna say,
All right.
and to be honest, just very quickly, when you're saying the kind of I don't see it as white, essentially Oppenheimer's a fairly white film.
Yeah. When it comes to on-screen representation, themes, and narratives, I don't think it's.
Yeah, but is that purely on screen? Because I don't know how many people behind the scenes that the gaffers and the things like that are of different ethnicities and things like that. So that's always something that I find hilarious. When people go, oh, there's not enough women in that, and then it's like, I've worked on film sets, it was like at least 40-50% female. It's like a lot of the times our focus is on the big above the line things on your budget. So it's the writer, the director, the producer, the cinematographer, maybe. But a lot of the people below the line that are also doing ridiculously good work, like makeup and hair and set dressing and art decoration and your storyboards and your sound and your gaffers and your electric and stuff, they can be as diverse as you like, and it never gets mentioned. It's obviously not great, and they are having to do improvements, but this is something that never gets looked at, and I'd like to see those jobs pulled into the discussion quite a bit more.
For more about that, go listen to our Women Behind the Camera episode, but I
think I'm rehashing this one.
It's really good that we're very informed on this topic as we talk in depth about it here, but it is good that it is there. I hope that it encourages more films with female directors and more diverse casts, ones from other countries being nominated for Best Picture, because you know what, honestly, I enjoyed Oppenheimer. It is maybe now I haven't seen Maestro, but of all the ones I've seen, it seems like the most boring of the 10. I like it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Maestro is much more boring.
Okay.
So it's half the length and twice as boring.
Okay.
Is Bradley Cooper good in it as
yes.
No, Bernstein.
Bernstein. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
So... Even with the nose.
Yes. Yeah, and to us, that still did not do many favors. No, within the context of the film, it's fine. It's not noticeable.
Yeah,
noticeable.
I was gonna say, I loved that backlash of it's insensitive for him to do a Jewish nose, and it's you're trying to get an actor that looks like the guy that he's playing. Yeah. Why not do your makeup and stuff? If you need to, nobody complained about Rami Malek's teeth for Freddie Mercury.
Oh Jesus, yeah, they're so much more egregious. I mean, Bradley Cooper towards the end of Maestro, he's wearing pretty much a full bodysuit, to play the elderly Bernstein. He's got these big fake hairy arms, and I think he's got a chin prosthetic to go with the nose and the ears. They changed the whole structure of his face basically, but yeah.
So before so we all kind of picked 3-ish movies / category. We didn't really pick category. Kieran picked a category.
Because I've now seen them. That's why.
Yeah. So Kieran is beating me right now at watching movies that were made after 1990, I think. So
well, it's Oscar season, so this means I spend the next couple of weeks scrambling to try and
watching the ones from last year.
Yeah, this is my issue. All the ones I'm now seeing came out last year. I'm always a year behind for the recent stuff.
Yep. No.
And then it's movies from 50, 60 years ago that are in black and white.
Yeah. So maybe we should start with Sam. Sam, is there something about these Oscars you would just really like to talk about that isn't Barbie or Oppenheimer?
Well, yeah. I mean, because it was on at the top of my to watch list, I thought I'd better get around to it. I did watch 20 Days in Mariupol, which for me is probably the thing that's most. I mean, one thing I will say as we go through our categories, I will say, assume we've seen enough of them. What would you like? What would you like to see win in each category, and then what do you think will win this category? So. With the best documentary feature, I unfortunately have not seen the others. I've only seen this. Not for lack of trying. I mean, three of them I don't even think have had proper UK releases. It's basically it was this one that was available on streaming, and I think another one that's available on Disney Plus. But they're not the easiest to get hold of, these documentaries. But what I'm going to say is Mariupol is the film that everyone should see, and it kind of I think it'll have the most kind of impact at the moment with what's going on in the world. So
Sam,
basically,
you
it documents
confused me because you told me if you're going to watch one movie before the Oscars, watch 20 Days in Mariupol, and I was like, oh, okay, and then I realized that was the movie you were doing, so I could not do it.
Yeah.
And I'll admit, like, 20
do?
Days in Mariupol is like the only one of the documentaries I'd heard about before the names were released.
Yeah.
I knew it was vaguely something Holocaust related. Holocaust related, or is it?
No, it's the Russian
no, that's
invasion
of
of
interest.
Ukraine.
Okay, Ukraine. It was a relevant topic now. I'm now thinking of the Israel-Gaza thing.
Yes.
But it's the only one that I vaguely heard of.
Well, funny you raising the Israel thing. I mean, it's amazing the number of parallels. It's like 2 years in the past now. Amazingly, since Russia invaded, the first invasion of Ukraine, and this documents the siege of Mariupol, which was right at the start of that conflict. Basically, it kind of kicks off the whole thing. So Russia kind of advancing in and basically just bombing a whole city, the largest city in Ukraine, to hell. Basically, it's just reduced it to rubble. And it's one of these where it's we talked about like documentary conventions last week, and it's one of these. It's not a flashy film at all. It's literally journalists, Ukrainian journalists on the ground capturing first-hand footage. And of the atrocities, of everything the people are going through. But what's fascinating to see is kind of, you see their raw footage, you see the events they're kind of capturing real time, and then later in the documentary you see how that footage is kind of edited, chopped up, and used in like news programs around the world. And how the context changed slightly, how they use them picking and choosing their clips to illustrate their points and stuff. But it's a really obviously hard hitting, difficult watch. I mean, it reminded me a lot of there was a documentary from a few years back called Fossama, which was during the Battle of Aleppo, in Syria, and it's very similar thing, where like a whole city has basically been reduced to rubble, and people are just trying to just get through with their lives, basically, just survive day to day, and if they're unlucky enough to have children, just make sure they can, that they're going to see like another, another day. But basically it just follows these journalists who are kind of, at first they're just kind of almost just capturing just generally, these kind of, we're seeing this advance, all these explosions going off, I wonder how far this is going to go. But then they're literally in the thick of it, they're climbing through rubble, they're kind of, they're meeting these people who become critically injured, by shrapnel or by bomb blasts, and then sometimes they'll see them later in the documentary as well. They'll see they've made it to hospital, and that they're bleeding out, or they've already died. They'll say, I remember seeing that boy, and now he's in a body bag. It's really kind of tough kind of stuff. And I know I'm not exactly selling it as something, I've got to see as a must see, but I think it's something you should see, I think. And with more of the same stuff going on now, in Gaza, I mean, I've the lines that the Israeli authorities are trotting out are exactly the same things Sir Putin was trotting out, to justify, the invasion of Ukraine, saying, we're not aiming at populous areas, and we wouldn't kill civilians, even though they clearly are and they clearly will, and saying, whenever someone says, "Oh, you're committing a war crime," they'll say, "Oh, it's fake news," it's a story being spun by Western media and stuff like that. It's just nothing changes. Basically, it's the same kind of excuse trust out time again. And I mean, there's a couple of like things like the Ukrainians kind of people, kind of just come out with on this this documentary opens with the lead journalist, but as a great quote, just says, "Was that start of explosions the start of silence?" And it's just you can't. There's no other experience that can kind of put you in kind of right in the thick of it to the extent this film does. I mean, obviously without actually being there and going through all these kind of horrors yourself, it's kind of closest you can get to that without, from the safety of, of actually not being involved in it. And a lot of people are interviewed, kind of saying stuff like, they're asking kind of, could you live under kind of Russian rule? What happens if the Russians do win, which ultimately they did. It's been occupied by Russia at the moment as Mariupol. It's one of the regions that was fully annexed into Russian territory. The kind of stuff like, I just want to live in Ukraine in peace and quiet. I'm not Russian. I'm not Russian. I will never be Russian. I'm Ukrainian, and we are our own people. It's a heartbreaking kind of experience to go through. I mean, the review on RogerEbert.com, they summed it up as it goes on a short list of great documentaries that the viewer will never want to watch again. Which I kind of fully agree with. There's always that kind of list, isn't there, of films? Kind of you think, wow, I can't fault this. I can't. It was such an experience. I feel fundamentally changed by it. But equally, I'm never going to watch this again. It's like you couldn't pay me to watch it again. It's just such a traumatic experience.
Does it all take place within the 20 days, or is there some like post or even pre stuff put in there?
It's primarily the 20 days, yeah, and they kind of tick off days as they go. I mean, just how rapidly things kind of escalate. It's you kind of it gets to halfway through day 10. It's like, oh my god, there's nothing left already. It's like, what else could actually happen?
You're almost wanting it to finish quickly because it's going to get worse.
Yeah, and so it's mostly kind of covered in that 20 days, but then there's kind of this like there's some footage of basically the citizens of Mariupol trying to get back to their lives, when there's nothing left, just wander through like the rubble of their former homes and everything. And there's like explanatory text at the end saying Mariupol fell by day 86. So there's still there's still quite a few more weeks and months to go after this, until it was properly like taken over. And they said that it's estimated that 25,000 people had been killed in the siege. Most of those being women and children. It's which again is like this whole excuse by the invading force, say, oh no, we're only targeting strategic kind of centers and military force space. It's so flagrantly not true that it's so disproven. When you see like these mass graves and stuff, and you get all these innocent people you've kind of seen almost firsthand. I mean, you don't, thankfully, you don't quite. Well, you may see people actually die on screen, but usually it's the aftermath. It's usually, I think the closer you get it's a heartbreak scene in a operating theatre. It's already kind of struggling with like the sheer influx of sick and wounded being brought in, and they're trying to save a little boy. And I think he basically almost dies in front of us. They don't manage to bring him round, but yeah, so. Not a cheery one, but it's an important one to watch. And I would say, anyone who can stomach it, I think it's it's with the world the way it is at the moment, I think it's definitely worth doing so.
What is the sort of narration like? Like, is it first person happening? Or there, you said there were interviews.
Yeah. So generally, there's the guy who made it, I'm sorry, I've got his name to hand, but he's the Ukrainian journalist, and he's down as the writer and the director of it, basically. So he kind of does a bit of a setup, so this is Mariupol, it's the city of however many of many people, and kind of this what's what happens on this date. But generally, it's only in like a few linking kind of sequences where kind of time's passing and he needs to contextualize stuff. He'll give a bit of extra information, but generally, it's you just witnessing the footage, and you occasionally hear him kind of trying to get a statement, or just from people people he's witnessing, asking for their names, kind of where are they from, kind of what have they been through, basically. So it's quite a hands off, almost just letting the images speak for itself, but we'll interject every now and then. So
would you say it's that sort of?
Yeah,
Get Jacob's question first.
I was just saying, I don't really. Yeah, go on.
Well, is it going to win because of the social, global
The relevance?
Yes, relevance. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the subject
Novelty.
matter. I think it's the zeitgeist at the moment. Yeah, with everything that's going on in the world, I think it captures the zeitgeist. And I think anything that documents like a turning point in history, or particularly harrowing kind of passage of a country, it's I think it needs to win. I don't think any of the other documentaries in the category really, I mean, I'm sure they're all interesting and well researched and engaging, but I don't think anything could compete in terms of just this is a film for now.
Well, I don't know what documentary normally looks like, but it does look like there is a pretty wide variety of like places and people.
I mean, we've got documentaries from India, from an African country, we've got one about dementia. We've got lots of different kind of subject matters and kind of different places, which is good, obviously good to see. But I think if obviously I'd love to see the other nominees, but I think at the minute, I think this is the one. This is the film in this year's crop of Oscars, that's Oscar nominations, that should just be seen by as many people as possible and probably win its category.
I'll ask the question because this is a thing with pretty much anything that isn't narrative feature. Do you think that sometimes, like, essentially, if it was up to you, would you have maybe put Mariupol in for like best picture overall?
Personally,
would it be worthy of it?
Yeah, but obviously that's never happened before, so I don't know what a documentary has to do to kind of succeed in that. I mean,
when was the last time we had an animated feature? Was it Beauty and the Beast?
No, it was Toy Story 3. Toy Story. Toy Story 3 was the last one to be in the best. I think the only two that have been up for best picture are Beauty and the Beast and Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
And Toy Story 3 is the only one to get there since they introduced the animation category. So.
Yeah.
I think that's because of the last 20-30 minutes, really.
I also think, like, whenever we think of film, like, generally we're thinking about narrative fiction, and I think there may be an implicit best picture narrative fiction, blah, blah.
Yeah. I was going to say, do you think they'd ever change it to be called best narrative feature or something like that? It's not going to happen. But, like, should they?
No. We have best documentary. That's good enough.
Yeah.
If there's one that is that good, it'll probably get it.
Yeah.
Never done it.
Both works of a creative team, of like, it all requires, decisions by a director and, to be edited together, to tell the storytelling. So it's the same kind of skill kind of set, just in a different kind of medium, different format.
Maybe also there's this, we probably could have talked about this last week, this inherentness to fiction film where you could set up shots, very artfully create everything you're doing, whereas a documentary, sometimes you're just kind of stuck with what's, like in this movie, you're stuck with what's in front of you. You don't have time to compose necessarily. It's never going to be like crafted visually in the same way as far as like the shooting and all of that. The editing is a different story, but
I was going to say, but does that necessarily mean that it is lesser in terms of craft?
Yeah, and I'm sure some documentary directors would argue, oh, I'm just capable as Terrence Malick as waiting for the right lights, to get my establishing
Oh,
shot.
sure.
And I was going to say, and sometimes there are films that look absolutely beautiful, but that's it. And there are some which are very quickly shot in like 6-7 minutes that are ridiculous. 6-7 minutes, 6-7 days that are ridiculously good, and it's very kind of slapdash throwing stuff in.
Yeah,
Let's just get the shot and move on.
I mean, one thing I will say about a film like this made now is obviously, camera technology has come along such a long way. It's like everything, is captured, even when they're running, from like cover to cover, avoiding gunshots and explosions, or they've got to, duck behind the wall quickly, or just take cover. You can always see what's going on. Previously, I think it would have been unwatchable almost. Almost. Not
Found
able to
footage
actually
movie,
record
just
the
somebody's
event.
feet running away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
one documentary that does spring to mind for like beautiful cinematography is Honeyland. I thought that one was incredible visually.
True, yeah. It's beautiful.
And no, I'm sorry, documentary filmmakers. I'm not saying you can't do your craft competently, but I mean, you can't spend 500 takes of the same actor getting that perfect shot, and it most of the time. Maybe you can for some, but like for shooting the one I did with We Were Kings, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. I mean, I think as soon as you bring in like different mediums, so I'd say documentary filmmaking is a slightly different medium to narrative filmmaking, and animation again is slightly different medium, but obviously using the same skills. But I suppose people just measure them differently. It's kind of obviously easier to compare like for likes than compare something completely different to apples and oranges.
It'd be interesting to take all of the best picture winners, even stuff like best documentary, best picture, best animated short, best live action short, and all these kinds of things, and then go what would be if we put them in a category going for like tippity top, what would win?
Joe, new article series, the best.
There you go, Joe.
The best picture of every Oscars category list.
Yeah, so you got to go through all the animated shorts, the live action shorts, the animated, and literally the best picture
pound for pound
picture category. Yeah. So, boss, you can get on that.
Yep. Okay. Sam, do you have any more documentary adjacent or smaller category, or just any takes that don't have to do with best picture or best VFX?
I was going to say, what's the best film in the other categories that you've seen?
Well, my favourite film of the year last year was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So I'm very much up for. I mean, for me, that should have been in the best pitch conversation, but obviously that's not going to happen.
Okay, I haven't seen it because I haven't seen the first one, but I'm going to ask the question: that or Boy and the Heron?
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's the caveat. It's like it's a strong animated feature category. I mean, even Nimona, I really enjoyed. There's 3 really, really great kind of films in there. But I think Miyazaki will get it because it's probably his last film, and it's like not to say he doesn't deserve it, but I think it'll be It's like well, we've only given him 1 Oscar before. It's probably due another one. It's like the Scorsese thing all over again.
Do you reckon he'll actually turn up this time?
I don't think so.
He did when House Moving Castle got nom, didn't he?
Yeah, but no, I think he's got such disdain for the Hollywood machine in general. I don't think he will.
He turned up and he looked very, very grumpy when Wallace and Gromit Curse of the Were-Rabbit won. Which it's obviously, damn, Miyazaki didn't get it, but actually, the older I get, the more I appreciate that Curse of the Were-Rabbit is a ridiculously well-made film.
And I think Miyazaki should appreciate anyone keeping like older kind of animation techniques alive. Like hand drawn or stop motion. They're both equally worth kind of defending.
And actually, I say he looked depressed. Miyazaki is normally depressed.
Yeah. Yeah, even when he smiles, he doesn't really smile. Does he?
Yeah.
It's usually like
And
a wry kind of
the amount of memes that are
glint
just
in the
comparing
eye.
the amount of memes that are just comparing Miyazaki with Junji Ito, the horror manga illustrator that did Uzumaki and stuff like that. And it's like
Yeah.
Miyazaki going really depressed, like, I hate the Beatles and all the glorious food stuff he does. And then Junji Ito's got like the most abstract, terrifying, cosmic horror manga ever. And he's like, I love the Beatles. And there's videos of him on YouTube ranking how cute different anime cats are. Like, it's so ridiculously funny. But yeah, I to be honest, I haven't got around to seeing any of them. Boy and the Heron was just in the wrong place at the wrong time for me getting to see it.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to do it because Miyazaki winning is always going to be a plus for anything in the world ever. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are rooting for Spider-Man, but if Boy and the Heron gets it, they're not going to be annoyed about it.
I mean, to be honest, because Into the Spider-Verse, the first one did get it. I don't think they're going to probably award another animated superhero film so soon after. So yeah, I would imagine. Again, with that category, I would say I'd be happy with either Boy and the Heron or Spider-Verse winning, but I think it'll be Boy and the Heron for animation.
And also, it's actually I was going to say it's not another Disney movie getting animated feature, but then I go no, but Ghibli in terms of the US distribution, I think at least at one point was owned done by Disney.
I think it's not Max, but Warner Brothers, whoever they're merging with now. I think they have the rights to distribution because they're all on Max, and I don't think they're anywhere else to stream.
They were on Netflix for a while.
They're still on Netflix
in the US. Sorry.
Yeah. So in the UK, they're still on Netflix. Yeah.
Anyway, on that one, I want Miyazaki to win purely for screw you, Disney.
It is since 21 Warner Bros. Home, by the way.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, in solidarity, I will be rooting for the movie I didn't see. For you guys.
Okay, I'm going to ask the random question because I'm looking through the list now, and let's just grab different categories, and especially ones that will never get talked about because we're going to talk about Best Picture at some point. What is looking at cinematography, and I'm seeing Poor Things. Okay, I've yet to see it, but I know of it. Oppenheimer, I've obviously seen. Maestro, I know of it, and I'll get around to it at some point. I was going to try and get into it before this one, didn't have time. Killers of the Flower Moon, okay. El Con. I've never heard of El Con. Have I just been?
Have you not? Oh, that's amazing! That's amazing. It's on Netflix. This is the General Pinochet was a General Pinochet was a vampire movie. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
That'll be why. Okay, it's sleeping under a rock.
Seeing that the guy who shot The Favorite shot Poor Things, which I will be watching tonight, surely. Like, God, I loved his cinematography in that movie.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through and thought we should mention.
There's lots of queasy, like fisheye lenses and stuff like that in it. You know, it's a very kind of striking looking film. Yeah. I mean, I think in that category, I'd be probably happy with just most of them. To be honest, I don't think Maestro looks especially striking, but any of the other four, they're all very good looking films.
The guy who shot Maestro shot The Whale.
Okay.
Also, Birds of Prey.
Yeah, I'm now going through so that we at least get a mention for some of the other categories that we're not going to discuss because I think they're just as important. So costume design, we've got Barbie, Killers.
I would say it's got to be Poor Things or Barbie.
We've got Barbie, Killers, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Why in the nicest way? Why they've got Oppenheimer, I don't know.
Because
lots of nice grey suits.
Costuming is for your film took place in the past.
Unless you're Barbie.
Yeah. Well, that is just stylized, cool, hip clothes.
Normally, costume design, the historicals get it. VFX, the sci-fi movies get it. Like that's kind of how it works.
Yeah. So you have like the. Your Oppenheimers, your Killers of the Flower Moon, even I suppose your Napoleon, for more extreme examples for like, this does take place in a different era, so we've got to recreate that era. Barbie, obviously, fantastical, its own thing. Poor Things, weirdly, is somewhere between the two. Because yes, it is historical, but it's a mad, fantastical version of history. So it's like
alternative history, kind of.
Yeah, it's like an alien take on history. It's yes, it's interesting.
Our thoughts on that. I don't think Oppenheimer will get it. Don't think Killers will get it. Napoleon has an outside shot, but I think it'll probably be between Poor Things and Barbie.
I'll go Poor Things. I think it's won a few of the other awards, and I think it deserves it.
Yeah, Kieran, I'm going to steal your bit here and say editing. We got Anatomy of a Fall, the person whose name I don't want to mess up, Laurent something French. The Holdovers, Kevin Tint, Killers of the Flower Moon, Thelma Shoemaker, or Mocker, whichever it is, Oppenheimer, Jennifer Lame, and Poor Things, Yorgos I don't know why I was okay with butchering his name. I can't say that one either.
Mavroparidis?
Yes. Sure, why not?
Him.
Yeah. Not Lanthimos.
I would personally. I would go Laurent Seneschal for this. I'd go Anatomy of a Fall because I think a lot of that film hinges on the way it's edited and the ways information's kind of passed out to you and kind of limited kind of your perspective is just in the way the story's kind of shown to you, what isn't shown to you.
Is that who really you want to win or who you think will win?
I think it's who I want to win. I would imagine Oppenheimer will win.
I mean, no offense to Jennifer Lame, but like, why is Oppenheimer here? Like, it's nothing.
For the nuke sequence.
It's one sequence, great. I would put. I mean, it's still not going to win sound editing either. It shouldn't, at least. But like,
I mean, how many Oscars has Thelma won so far? I mean,
3.
She's always
Raging Bull, which was well deserved, and then The Departed and The Aviator, which
Okay.
She needs to win for this just to like say half of them were for movies that are awesome.
Are you saying Departed wasn't awesome? The Scorsese fanboy over here.
It's fine. Listen to Sam talk about it in another Oscars episode.
Yeah. I think to win for two of Scorsese's weaker films isn't great.
Yeah, but Raging Bull is like all edit, so
yeah,
big dub.
Even just like that opening sequence, which is the bit I remember, and I think like the ending fight, like just for those. Beautiful, yeah.
Kieran, you're going to talk about the visual effects, but real quick, I did some research into visual effects, and they first presented a plaque for Best Engineering Effects to Wings at 1929. The first film recognized for Special Effects Achievement Award in 1938 was Spawn of the North, and in 1939, Best Special Effects was its first the first time it was a category officially, and then in 1964 it became Best Special Visual Effects.
Computers are now starting to get
as opposed to the oral ones, I guess. I don't. Smell-o-vision. John Waters hadn't come out yet, but yeah.
I was going to say, do we give extra for William Castle, like flying skeletons over here to go? And like in 13 Ghosts, where he had the viewfinder and he put some of the ghosts in a different color. If you wanted to see it, you viewed through one color, and if you didn't, you go through another. Which I want to see make a comeback. That would be great if they actually. No, I don't. It'd be interesting at the very least. Yeah, visual effects, and I want to do this one because a lot of the movies that you go to see now are just like essentially built on the VFX. And they do not get the recognition. I mean, that's like the whole thing. One of the major things with Marvel at the moment, like essentially everyone suing them because everyone wanted to work for Marvel, so they were just pushing their people to work faster for less money. And so they're have they got a VFX union now? Because they were thinking of making one.
I don't know whether they succeeded or not. I'd have to check. It was definitely in the works, wasn't it?
Yeah, because then they were trying to join with the people that did for Disney now as well, weren't they? I'm just looking at it. So it's apparently traced its origin back to 300 VFX artists who created the VFX production group on Slack in 2020. The VFX union officially formed in 2012.
We were using Slack before they were. Ha! Take that. VFX union.
So, I've just checked. Yes, they did. They did successfully unionize in October. So
yeah. So you know what, for them, and as this has been a year about working conditions in essentially major Hollywood blockbusters, let's give them the thing. And so the nominees are The Creator, which is the Gareth Edwards film that came out in like September, October. He's also the guy that did Rogue One and Godzilla, which is quite funny. And the people, I guess the heads are Jay Cooper, Ian Comley, Andrew Roberts, and Neil Kobold. And I say it's funny that Gareth Roberts did the 2014 Godzilla because one of the other nominees is Godzilla -1. With Takashi Yamazaki, Kyoko Shibuya, Masaki Takahashi, and Tatsuji Nojima. And actually, on the Godzilla YouTube channel, the official one, they have like a 10-minute behind-the-scenes documentary with all the special effects. It's really actually quite nice. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has been nommed because I don't know why the Guardians got nommed in here and not in animated feature. But there you go.
I mean, that could be every Marvel film. Best
exactly.
green screen.
I don't know why it's here. So yeah.
Not Black Widow.
All joking aside,
I'm not going to rise to it. I'm not going to rise to it.
All joking aside, it looks very good. So that.
Don't worry, Sam. I'll shit on Marvel more later.
Stephanie Caretti, Alexis Weisbrot, butchering the name, Guy Williams, and Theo Bilek. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, which I think was underappreciated. Don't know why I got on. Alex Vutke, Simone Coco, Jeff Sutherland, and Neil Kobold. Okay, so Neil Kobold.
You go, Simone Coco.
He's on 3 because he did The Creator. He's done Mission Impossible, and he was also working on Napoleon as well with Charlie Henley, Luke Ewan, and Mark.
He has a 60% chance to win.
What?
Simon Coco's got 40%. No, Simon.
So why is Napoleon here in this category? Is it literally
essentially the VFX loads of people into battle scenes?
Sam, I don't know if you know this. Ridley Scott made Alien.
They were doing that in Lord of the Rings 25 years ago. It's like they're doing the same thing. This isn't any new leap forwards. It's like
no,
I just don't understand.
It was shot in Malta, so I mean that's pretty special.
There's bits in Tunisia as well. I think what happened is they didn't know what else to put there, and so they put it in. And admittedly, it does look good, but it's nothing. It looks good, but there's nothing groundbreaking about the VFX.
I think the Mission Impossible one's a good shout because obviously they pride themselves on doing as much practical as possible, but sometimes it's the effects just linking together all these big for real set pieces. It's like just blurring the boundaries a bit and kind of just get rid of the joins.
I think Mission Impossible is here because
as much as I was going to say, as much as Tom Cruise is, prides himself doing everything for real, there'll still be a lot of wires to, like safety harnesses to erase. When he's running cross trains and things.
I was going to say, and yes, they did launch a train off a railway. Which is hilariously enough, I think the same railway they used for Indiana Jones, the new one. They came out like months apart. But the thing with Mission Impossible is, I think they nommed it because. In something like that, their VFX are designed not to be seen, and designed to be seamless, and that is a skill in itself that should be recognized. And that's actually, I think, harder than just splashing it on the screen. This is one of the things we complained about with CGI, that we can tell when you can't, it's beautiful, and it's getting that mix, which I think is why it's there. Guardians 3. Go ahead.
Guardians 3, they're nominated because for me, it's probably one of the best looking Marvel films for a long time. I think they could tell this wasn't one that was kind of under a increasingly kind of rapidly shrinking kind of deadline and vast and depression, everything like that. They were given the time and the space to make it as big as possible, and it's because they've rendered such beautiful photoreal talking
Baby
animals,
animals.
that make you cry your eyes, that make you cry your eyes out. That's
Yeah.
And I saw Kang, what he looked like in. I didn't watch the movie, but I saw the photos from Ant-Man, and woof,
Yeah, it's
man.
not great. Ant-Man 3 would be half.
Maybe he could
the
change forms
effects
to be
were
good
half
VFX.
decent. Like, it's one of those ones where the plot isn't awful, but it's so dull, and then everything else drags it down. So yeah. Ignore Ant-Man 3. Personally, I think it's. Then you get Godzilla -1 and Creator. I want Godzilla to get it. I think Creator might take it though. Creator I saw yesterday, and it does look glorious.
Yeah, and it's one of those that is doing generally new things with visual effects. I think just it's stuff kind of in the ballpark stuff we've seen before, but kind of tweaked enough where it's like okay, I've never quite seen things like that before.
Yeah, and I think this comes from the fact that the director Gareth Edwards started out in VFX. The way he got his first film Monsters done was he won a 24-hour shorts competition, and there's some VFX in there that he did himself. So he is, and I think he did a lot of it for Monsters as well. So he grounded in VFX and the stuff like that.
Yeah,
so it does look absolutely amazing.
He literally did a road trip with his actors and then just added all the effects afterwards on his laptop in his hotel room. It was all done on laptop.
Well,
for that.
Kieran, out of because I know you were gonna, talk about Godzilla. Then you mentioned you watched The Creator and watched all of these. I mean, I know you're gonna talk about which one you think wants to win, but I want to know, like, for The Creator, is it just really standard and boring, kind of like Avatar level story with great effects?
They do one or two interesting things. It's not like absolutely out of this world radical, but it's kind of well polished Hollywood, trying to do something slightly different to a formula, but still a formula. If that makes sense, it's
it's perfectly solid. Not wrong with it.
But
the problem I found is it's not one of the twists or supposed twists. I saw them all coming basically because I've seen movies before. I think they're very telegraphed. But they're very telegraphed the stuff that's supposed to be twists, I think, which is a bit of an issue.
It's the kind of things that you could watch and feel like this could have been like a remake of like a 50s or 60s thing, or a novel that came out that feels a bit kind of Philip K. Dick, Bradbury Asimov, kind of the 50s, 60s sci-fi writers in there. And there's obviously elements that are tribute to that, little bit iRobot, bits of Asimov and things like that in there, and Philip K. Dick. But the fact it's got none for VFX, I think it will get it because there's so much and it looks so good, and for the most part, it works. And looks as near to perfect VFX as we've got at the moment. And there are these kind of wide shots that do look like matte paintings. And it does look really nice. I think that will take it. However, I am so hoping Godzilla -1 does, not just because it's Godzilla, not just because it's like a non-Western film, not just because it's the first Godzilla movie to be nominated for an Oscar, I think, ever. But the fact that the total budget of the entire film was 15 mil.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah,
it is insane.
How does it look that good?
It's like a Blumhouse movie,
and I'm like, what? Yeah, there are Blumhouse movies that cost more,
and look worse.
Oh yeah, like it is. There are Marvel movies that cost 10 times as much and look worse. It is stupid how good it looks.
We've talked about the blockbuster bubble before, but I think studios are hopefully kind of costing on to the fact that you can't spend 200 million on every film and then wonder why it didn't make the money back. It's just I don't understand where the money goes half the time.
Well, put it this way. I checked recently, and on Box Office Mojo, so far this year, bearing in mind, okay, we're just about a sixth of the way through the year, and yes, the big ones haven't come out. And there's a couple still going. But so far, only 3 films have made over 100 mil worldwide. Only 3. At the top is The Beekeeper, which is not great.
It's no Madam Web.
it's average at best. Madame Web is currently sitting on worldwide 78 mil.
So it's just about made its budget back. But obviously with marketing and stuff, it's nowhere even close to breaking even.
Second is Bob Marley with 122 mil. That's still going though, so I think that'll get to number one. Give it another week. And third is Mean Girls with 103. Those are the only three that have made over 100 mil worldwide at the moment. It is stupidly, like, ridiculously bad, and you can't do it. The fact that Godzilla was made for, well, I think the budget is between 10 and 15 mil, so it could have been made for like 12, 13 mil. And it's Godzilla, and it looks amazing. And not only that, it is genuinely, I will put my hand up and say it was the best movie I watched last year. And yes, I didn't watch all of them, but I got in and I was like, yes, I'm ready for monster destruction. I was not prepared for that movie to actually like get the heartstrings going and get emotional. I think I said before, there is they've redesigned Godzilla's atomic breath. Usually it used to just be fire, and that's hilarious because they got that off a poster for the Beast 20,000 Fathoms where he breathed fire and didn't in the actual film because of special effects. But they've redesigned it for this one, and people are now calling it a heat ray, which I'm like, there's no Martians here. But it is like a beam, and then a nuke happens because it is all about kind of survivor guilt from the First World War, and that.
And his dorsal spine is kind of they do like a ka-chunk kind of sound effects as they pop out. It's like a countdown, so like I'm releasing it. It's like boop 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 boop.
But the first time I'm just gonna say the first time you see it, it's a water, and there's the famous shots of kind of Godzilla chasing after Jaws style, which are great. But that shot of the it's Godzilla stomps into Tokyo, does a load of stuff, and then unleashes this beam. You get essentially this nuclear fireball in the distance, and the thing comes back. And despite having watched Oppenheimer, and I watched Godzilla on like a screen that was like 5 times smaller, that hit made me feel like Nagasaki and Hiroshima more than Oppenheimer. Like Oppenheimer looked glorious, and I'm not taking it away, but Godzilla made me feel it. And after that, it's just like I went, okay, this thing has done stuff. It is such a good film. It is, even if you don't care about Godzilla, the amount of people that have apparently gone in like with boyfriends, like, I don't care about Godzilla, and they're like, oh my god, that was so good. It is beautiful, and I wanted to win so badly because the VFX team probably had like 1 or 2 mil between them, like to do a Godzilla movie, and it looks like on a par with the stuff in Creator, and like better than Guardians, I will say. Napoleon, I don't know why it's there. Mission Impossible, okay, but it blends in. So I want Godzilla to win, but I think Creator will get it purely because of the amount that's there. I think
they didn't even use real actors. It's the whole. Oh wait, that's an animated movie.
I was going to say, and it's got John David Washington in it in Gemma Chan, and it's got big names in it, and more people will have seen it. And to be honest, I think I'm hoping they're not, but I still feel there's going to be a bit of Oscar Anglo bias in there, which is bull of the highest level. But I've got in my heart wants Godzilla, but my brain is saying the Creator might take it. If any of the other 3 do, I don't know why. I know why they're not, but I don't know why they're taking it. And I kind of want Godzilla to win, especially just for the people that poured their heart and soul into making Godzilla look and feel and all the stuff so good for nothing.
For the current like standard of like, I don't know, the categories, do stunts count as visual effects maybe?
They're practical effects.
Okay. I didn't know there was a practical effects one.
Yeah, visual effects is specifically CGI. So special effects, special effects is kind of practical effects. So special effects are your like your real explosions and stuff like that. And your smoke going off and making a truck.
Wait, but is there a best practical effects category?
No, there isn't. And there's a big groundswell to introduce a best stunts or best stunt team or best.
Probably run by all the Nolan fanboys.
That's called.
Yeah, I mean,
let's
like,
be honest, that
Yeah.
category would just alternate
well,
between Nolan and Tom Cruise.
so
Like-
where do right now, if your movie has really good stunts and you're going to be recognized for that, where are you nominated?
Nowhere.
I would wonder if maybe it's
I was
visual effects based on this.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the time they get it in action heavy films. If anything, it'll be editing or kind of.
Yeah. And I mean,
something like that.
maybe they did it for Mission Impossible for the bike jump as well.
Yeah.
So let's be honest, he's glorious. But yeah, so I don't know why that is, because there's a massive like uproar of why wasn't Andy Serkis nommed for Gollum, and that's because it was kind of acting but VFX, and so they didn't know where to put him, and so didn't. I think he got lifetime achievement at some point,
you always need like a separate category for like motion capture performance, because as much as Andy Serkis kind of likes to claim that it's digital makeup, it's all me. No, it's not all you, Andy. It's a incredibly hard-working effects team working with you. It's a team effort.
I still love Andy Serkis.
So I'm looking. I'm looking at the last couple of years, and I saw that Top Gun Maverick was nominated there. There's another like actiony movie that had like, I don't think of visual effects for it first, but like there's definitely some in it. The Irishman did have some. Like, I don't know. It seems like maybe visual effects is a place where they kind of recognize like stunt work in some capacity. Maybe that's my working theory.
What did Fury Road get in the end, Oscar-wise?
When was that? 2015?
Yeah.
2015. I'm just bringing it up now.
That was up against Ex Machina. There's your issue.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
it won 6 awards. What were they for?
First Man won in the 91st Academy Awards.
Yeah, you'll kind of find that if in doubt, sci-fi movies win VFX.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
if you're gambling,
so Mad Max Fury Road, obviously, it's a good combination of like visual effects and practical kind of stunts and everything. But that got best film editing, yeah. So
I'm just gonna say now that because I'm calling it now, Guardians won't win. I think this will be like it might be a record, because that will be the 3rd film in the series where all 3 are nommed for visual effects and none of them get it. Oh,
also, The Revenant was nominated that year. Like, that had to have been for practical stuff, at least, because I'm sure there is some CGI in there, but it's the kind of like the kind that people go, oh, it's the seamless, you can't see it CGI.
Was that just for the bear scene?
Yeah, right? Like, I don't know.
Then remember the Life of Pi one in 2012 for the tiger, essentially.
That's why Jungle Book won for all the tigers.
Yeah, against Avengers, Hobbit, and Prometheus, which, and thinking about it, I think it might have changed slightly. Now it's more the visual effects, because I remember the Alien one for it in '79.
Well, and then
essentially mostly HR Giga.
Tenet also won for its year, and I'm pretty sure Nolan went like for major stuff. It was practical work, so
and they just played it backwards.
Yeah, like a lot of the effects in that are camera stuff and editing and all that.
I don't know, but it's a weird one. I think it'd be interesting to look into the specifics of it.
Yeah.
But I can't see Napoleon getting it. I can't see Dead Reckoning getting it. I can't see Guardians getting it. I think it will come down to a Godzilla creator. I expect creator with everyone going. Well, the fans want Godzilla, but I expect creator to get it.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think creator I would like Godzilla to break the record.
Yeah.
Right, let's get on to the big category, shall we?
By the way, while we're here, future episode, we're going to do Godzilla movies.
Okay.
Yes, because I need to learn all about it from you guys. Never been a big Godzilla person.
We'll do the beginning. We'll do maybe like the American '90s versions. We'll do a recent one as well, and have like the ages.
Oh, I just figured y'all would pick good ones, and I would watch Godzilla 1998.
No,
Um,
I'll pick one of the mad ones from the 60s, probably one of the ones with the aliens, because they're wild.
the she dance. By the way, if you haven't seen it,
Yes.
like last Friday or Saturday, Rap Battles of History dropped Godzilla vs King Kong. It's great, and that's done with them all in motion capture. So, anyway, right, let's get on to the big stuff because that's what people want to hear if they suffer through this long.
Yeah.
Let's get on to the big categories, and the main one, obviously, we'll get to best picture. Let's
Yeah.
do the writing.
Well, and Kieran,
as well.
you and I only saw 4 of the best pictures, so it'll mostly be Sam.
We can comment on Barbenheimer or 1 or 2 others, and then Sam can take over.
And I will discuss zone of interest in depth, and that is it.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see the writing, because obviously the hilarious. I've always found this hilarious that the writing you've got the 2 categories, but either one counts for the big 5. Yes. I don't know why. So in adapted, you've got American fiction, Barbie, because it's somehow adapted because it's based on an existing property, which is weird.
Existing property.
You didn't buy the Barbie doll that the movie is based on? Okay, that's fine.
Oppenheimer, because it's based on somebody's true life, I guess. Although, didn't he say...
Well, the biography.
It's based... Yeah, it's based on a particular book.
Biography, yeah.
His life, I think.
Poor Things and Zone of Interest. So,
which is very loosely adapted from a book. Like, they completely changed it.
Very loosely, apparently, yeah.
Okay, so for those what do we think is getting it for adapted screenplay? American fiction, Barbie,
probably Barbie, just to give Greta the makeup award. Like, you didn't get director nom, so here's your Barbie win.
But she has got producer nom for best picture.
That's fair.
I think even she said that. People she said, like, people complaining, oh, you didn't get nominated. She's like, yes, I did.
I did.
You forget that the producers get the award for best picture.
Is she a producer on it? I know Margot was.
Yes.
I don't think she's not listed. Greta.
She was.
Margot Robbie is. I don't think Greta is a producer on it. So she only has the screenplay.
Oh, okay. Well, she's got screenplay. Okay. Well, Margot Robbie got nommed. I think that maybe that's the one. Yeah. So Margot Robbie got nommed at least. So if that wins, Margot Robbie will get the Oscar. It might not be for the acting, but for that. Yeah. Where are we? Writing adapted. So you want Barbie?
I think. Yeah. So it'll either be very, very clever what you did with this, with this famous property. I suppose you go down that route for that. But I think it's probably likely to be either Poor Things or Zone of Interest, I think.
Yeah, I kind of
for the adapted.
There's part of me that goes this year. I half think that Oppenheimer or anything it's nominated for it'll take. But at the same time, I want to go out left field and go not Oppenheimer for a change. So I've only seen Barbenheimer. I haven't seen the other 3, admittedly. But Poor Things might get it from what I've heard.
I mean, like, Zone of Interest, the screenplay is like the least important part of it. It could just be a completely improvised movie where they just put some notes in there, and it partially was, but like, I wouldn't say its screenplay is its strongest thing.
Yeah, it's more the way it was made was basically it's almost like catching the actors unawares. They had to basically keep playing these social situations, and they didn't know how closely they were being watched or which bits were being filmed or kind of when they've been cut around, basically. So they always had to be on and kind of in this situation.
And it's interesting when I'm looking at original screenplay that I hadn't quite twigged that Killers hadn't been nominated for writing. Because original screenplay, you've got Anatomy of a Fall, Holdovers, Maestro, May, December, and Past Lives. What are we thinking?
Although if it was nominated, Killers would be adapted, wouldn't it? Because again, based on a book, so not a non-fiction book. But
Anatomy, Holdovers, Anatomy's Holdovers, Maestro, May, December, Past Lives. What are we thinking?
I saw literally none of these, so you know what? I will root for Past Lives.
Yeah, I think it's between Past Lives and Anatomy of a Fall. I think of the screenplays, I prefer Anatomy of a Fall because I think it's very, very, very sharp. Kind of memorable.
I would like Anatomy of a Fall. I haven't seen it. I've only seen Past Lives, but I want Anatomy just for some cultural change.
Yeah.
I do
in
think
there.
for both of those are generally like, hey, you're not winning these other ones, so here you go.
Yeah.
Here's your screenplay award. We recognize you. Because
Yeah.
I think if you're looking, and I'll talk zone of interest more later, but like best director over screenplay, like big time.
Yeah.
I don't even know why it's in screenplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get the other quick ones out the way before we get to the big ones, because I would like to at least give something for all the categories, because the Oscars won't. So we'll do it. Sound, creator, maestro.
Is this
Mission
sound
Impossible.
editing or sound the other one?
Just sound,
Mixing.
sound design.
Okay.
Something like that. So creator, maestro, Mission Impossible, Opry, or zone of interest.
That's in. Yeah, sorry, I think that's interesting. They've actually changed the category since last. They used to be separate sound categories, but it looks like they've combined them.
Merged them.
Sound.
It's just called sound, according to the Oscars website.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sound. For me, either Oppenheimer or Zone of Interest.
I'd assume they're all worthy.
Yeah. I've only seen 3 of them. I haven't seen Maestro or Zone of Interest. Maestro would probably get something like score if it's not. I haven't checked yet. Again, it would be hard. It's one of these things.
It's
where
not up for score.
It's
No,
not.
because it uses pre-existing Leonard Bernstein
Too much pre-existing music, yeah, so it can't get nommed. Yeah, that's why Two Towers wasn't nommed for original score, because a lot of it was from Fellowship. Therefore, they didn't nom it.
Yeah.
In which case, because it's about sound as possible, and again, it's hard to bet against Oppenheimer just by default at this point.
Again, I think Oppenheimer will get it, but I think Zone of Interest should get it, because again, that does some really interesting things with sound and visuals. To be honest, just in service of its storytelling, it's oppressive.
I don't think there's any way Ludwig wins over the guy who died after Killers and John Williams. Like, if you're giving Ludwig Göransson, who is really good at what he does, but very, very like standard at this point at what he does in Nolan films.
We're into score now, yeah.
Yeah, we're moved into score now. Yeah, because I was talking about sound then. Yeah. I would think. Yeah, I would go for Killers of the Flower Moon for score personally. Because I know everyone wants to see John Williams get one last Oscar, but it shouldn't be for another indie film. Not a particularly good one.
I mean, it wasn't the worst. It's not after the first 3, but it was better than Crystal Skull. I had fun with it, aside from the reshot ending. I mean, admittedly, I've only seen the 3. I haven't seen Poor Things or American Fiction. But of the 3 I've seen, I want John Williams, not because it's John Williams, but because it's the actual score. It felt big and orchestral rather than lots of drones. You know how much I hate my drones.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite of the scores is Poor Things, because it's mad, but it's a mad score to go with a mad film. But yeah, I think Killers of the Flower Moon will get it and should get it.
But also, if you're going to put Zone of Interest up for screenplay, might as well put it up for music, because same level of impact on the film.
Okay. Let's flick through some others again. I'm sorry that we're driving back to these, but I want to give these people the shout out. Having worked on films, production design, Barbie, Killers, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, or Poor Things.
Poor Things.
Yeah, that's actually a stacked lineup.
It is.
Again,
just like costume, I'd say it's a 2-horse race between Barbie and Poor Things, but I'd personally go Poor Things.
The Academy was really lazy this year. Like, there have to be films
with some good ones in there, yeah.
Well, no, like, it's just the same movie. Like, I look at this and see Oppenheimer, Barbie, Napoleon. Like, come on, give me some variety.
Oh, you want the
Killers?
You want some Fincher?
Sure. I wouldn't put the Killer. I like the Killer. It's not a production design masterpiece.
It's just Fincher does Les Samurai,
It's really good.
It's not bad actually. It is just Fincher does the samurai, but it's not the worst remake.
I did see a very glib review of it the other day. I can't remember. I think it's another filmmaker. I can't remember who it was now. But it's basically well, that was the best looking 2 hours of nothing I've ever seen.
Yeah. I'll agree with Sam on this one. I think it realistically is a 2-horse race between Poor Things and Barbie. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if either of them get it. I haven't seen Poor Things, so I can't. I've seen the trailers and can see why from the trailers it get it production design as well. But I could also see Barbie getting it for exactly the same reasons.
Yeah.
All right. For these last 4, the major ones, but aside from Best Picture, just give me the
shorts and stuff. Yeah,
because I didn't see any shorts, but
again, the only short I have seen, I saw literally before we came on, because I found it online, and that was 95 Senses, which is in animated short. So although I say that was a very, very good 10-12 minutes, like genuinely like amazing 12 minutes. I haven't seen like any of the others of those to be able to comment.
I'm assuming we have all of these in front of us. Best actor, give me a name.
Best actor's Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, in the nicest way, there's no way he's not.
No contest at all.
Yeah.
I don't have a strong feeling because I've only seen that, so sure.
I mean,
best actress.
I haven't seen the others, but there's just no way that Cillian.
Okay, best actress, the interesting one. It's between Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone, and it could go either way.
It should be Lily Gladstone. But
yeah,
whatever.
and I think the Academy will probably want kind of the better story almost. Like we can kind of show off that we've given the first native best actress.
First actual.
BAFTA or Screen Actors Guild gave it to Emma Stone. Which is ordinarily I'd have gone, it's just Lily Gladstone. Because of that, I'm now going.
BAFTA didn't nominate Lily Gladstone, so Emma Stone got the BAFTA.
Is she eligible for a BAFTA? I thought it was only like British films.
No. It's the British Film Institute. This is the Oscars is like the American Film Institute.
They've got some like unique British categories, so like British breakthrough and stuff like that, and British filmmaking. But no, it considers all.
Maybe they didn't want to be reminded of their colonialism. Best supporting actor and actress, 2 names.
Oh god! I mean, I think these are pretty wide open.
I'll go De Niro and. I don't know for supporting actress.
It was nice to see De Niro act again. So yeah, I'll say De Niro as well.
I'd like to see De Niro, but again, I can't. You can't bet against Oppenheimer.
Yeah, an actress. Let's go for. Sporting actress. Let's go for Divine Joy Randolph. She's really good in holdovers.
I didn't see the non-Barbenheimer ones, so like I don't feel like Emily Blunt necessarily deserves it. No. So I don't. Her and Downey Jr. I don't know why they're here. Like
Downey Jr. I can see.
To be honest, an ensemble piece like that, it's difficult to single out people, I think. So yeah, but no, I wouldn't have them in there.
But then just don't put anybody. Just find another movie.
Yeah, but the trouble is, Barbenheimer was so like big and hyped. They're going to put him in.
At least Ferreira is in a significant portion-ish of the movie, and like, I don't know. I just don't care about Downey Jr.'s part.
I mean, I don't think being in a significant portion can be a convincing argument when Anthony Hopkins won Best Actor and who's in 16 minutes for Silence. So
hey, Kieran, I'm not making a strong argument here. I'm just throwing out an
but
excuse.
You're making an argument nonetheless. Of the 2 that I've seen there, again, I haven't seen the others. America Ferrera was better than Emily Blunt. I
forgot about America Ferrera. Actually, no, I'm changing my answer. She's my pick for supporting actress.
Yeah, and it's a shame Ryan Gosling got Best Actress nom over
Best Actress nom.
She had a shot at Best Supporting Actor, and he really took that from her. So
yeah. In fact, maybe I'll give both my supporting noms to Barbie performers. Why not?
All right, so we can talk generally about these 10, but I'm gonna go in depth on the zone of interest.
Have your in-depth bit.
Yeah. Well, I guess, do we want to do the general first, or screw it? I'll just go. Zone of Interest is quite an interesting movie. I don't know how many people have said something like that to open their review. I can imagine it's only been hundreds of them. But yeah, or the going the other way, uninteresting. What are you talking? Because it's boring. I went and read the 1-star reviews on Google, and they're really fun. Most bland piece of garbage I've ever witnessed. For over an hour and 46 minutes, we get the privilege of watching the women of the house do chores, sit in the garden, and fold laundry, while the man is making phone calls. This person says, horrible movie. Family walks around doing chores with scattered turmoil and noise from the camp in the background. No single character in the movie expressed any level of concern for the happenings of the mass genocide of millions taking place 50 yards from their porch. So, if you don't know what Zone of Interest is...
I think they missed the point of the movie.
Missed the point. They may have missed the point a little bit there. Zone of Interest is up for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best International Feature, which is probably what it's going to win, and Best Sound. It is...
Best International Picture, even though it's from England.
Yeah, well, I think it's Polish, probably, because the Polish Film Institute financed it or whatever.
And yeah, if you go international feature, it says Zone of Interest, United Kingdom.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, I see, UK, Poland, and US, so who knows? I guess
so why they didn't
it's in German, so they're counting it.
Co-international production.
Yeah. So the Zone of Interest is from Jonathan Glazer. If you know him from anything, it's Under the Skin, which... At least I could describe this movie. Like, this movie is much more of a real movie than Under the Skin is. If you think of like,
he did a short film a couple of years ago over COVID. I seem to remember. Was it Jonathan Glazer?
I don't know if he made any short films.
I mean, it basically he's one of these filmmakers who it's whenever he does come along and make a film, it's an event because he only does one every decade.
Yeah.
So he's only done 4 films.
He found out that the book the Zone of Interest. I keep saying just Zone. It's the Zone. But they do need to drop the. It's cleaner.
Strasbourg 1518. That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
The Zone of Interest was a book in 2013. Glazer found out about it. Finally read it. And he sat down and was like making this movie. So for the last decade, other than I guess making the short, he was researching with like actual scholars, people who like he was working with the Auschwitz board or something like that. The movie is about, there's the guy who runs Auschwitz. His name is Rudolf Höss, and he and his family live in a house right next to Auschwitz. And there's the very first few shots, it's this really pretty, well, first there's like a minute of black screen and music. But then, there's a family on a picnic and they're driving home and they're having a great time together. And then the camera turns and there's these sheets of laundry covering the wall and the buildings. And it is easily the most succinct representation of what this film is visually. There are Nazis living their nice idyllic Aryan life right next door, literally, to Auschwitz. And I mean, look, if you're the kind of person who is coming to movies to watch like Iron Man say I am Iron Man and take rings from Thanos, you're not going to like this movie. It is super boring.
Hang on. I'm sorry. Take rings from Thanos.
I don't care. Shut up. I don't care. This is why I watch movies. I don't watch movies. Even Martin Scorsese takes it too far and he's like, you got to have the story for the picture. No, you don't. You don't need story. You need just images in a series.
Vibes.
Yes,
Vibes.
That I could construct into meaning. And I think what makes Zone of Interest so good is at every point it is asking you to think about, consider what is going on. Not people will say, oh, we know all about the banality of evil and how evil Nazis. That's another criticism that I saw is we've seen this before. But we haven't seen this before. This is like the most boring Holocaust movie that exists. Like, Shoah is more dramatic than this movie is. And that's an 8-hour Holocaust documentary they just sit down and talk to old people. So like, what it's basically about is hosts is working, being a Nazi running Auschwitz. It was a boring office job. So yeah, you're spending a lot of time on the phone dictating to your secretary. You know, we got to write about the new ovens that we're getting. It's a 4-chamber oven. I just had a meeting.
Yeah, I think that's the most. That's the most chilling aspect of it. It's the admin involved in genocide and just the matter of factness how that's dealt with.
Because that is something we don't really ever get to see, because it is the boring stuff. We don't get to see the I don't know if he's an engineer or a salesman or what, but he sits down with hosts and he's like, so yes, we have this new 4-chamber of it. I don't know what he calls it, but he's like, so this part heats while this part cools, and then you could dump the ash into here, then it dumps the ash out of here. And then, you know, you got to really go through the logistics of like, how are we going to systematically murder over 2 million people? And I think he personally was like technically responsible for killing 3.3 million people or something like that. And he said, hey, 1 million of those died of starvation.
It's the kind of thing that, again, I haven't seen it, and it's one of those that's constantly on the list that never gets finished. You know, I'll watch it in like 10 years' time eventually when I find it on TV. But it sounds like the kind of film which, if it wasn't like real, would be played like a black comedy. And it's only the fact that it was real that kind of makes it chilling.
I hate to say that it's the funniest Holocaust movie. Like, not in the sense that it's hilarious, but it's like, oh man, yeah, I guess I never considered that there's a little kid like playing soldiers right as he's hearing people being executed against a wall. Like, it's not funny, not funny like a clown, but it's like darkly, chillingly funny in the sense of like, wow, this is so boring.
You can't like.
I'm so uncomfortable with everything happening in it, but also the family drama, the domestic drama of this Nazi is actually pretty like interesting. Seeing his dynamic with his wife, where he's like, yeah, so I just got transferred from my job. Well, we have spent years building this house. This is our home. We can't just leave. Like, well, they've been there for like 2 or 3 years or something, but.
Yeah, I mean, all she cares about is their stuff. You know, as long as she's still got her stuff, she doesn't care. She'll live anywhere.
Yeah.
She'll have him do anything. But
her stuff is these beautiful plants. Her mom comes to visit. She's like, yeah, so we just put in this nice new thing. We put some ivy on here. Next time you come, it will have grown all over this. You know, it's gonna look great. The plants are beautiful. And there's this one shot I remember. It's a tracking shot of a Jewish guy pushing a wheelbarrow through the beautiful garden right in front of the wall covered with barbed wire. The whole movie there screams and gunshots in the background. That's the other thing you'll see sarcastically mentioned, or if somebody's like, oh, you know, just film bros love this movie, they're talking about, it's the sound. The sound is incredible, and like, it is good. It's not just, oh, cool. It is haunting, and then it creates the effect of, you just are kind of okay with it. It is immersing you into the situation where you are sort of becoming complicit in letting what is happening around you become background noise. You're not thinking about it. You're too busy looking at the kid beating on his drum or his brother locking him in a thing. There's this part at the end where, so he gets transferred and his family gets to stay at their lovely little house. And he's at this party, and he's just standing around, not enjoying the party. It's his, you've been promoted to go kill the Hungarians at Auschwitz party. And he was like, yeah, I was just thinking about the logistics of gassing all these people in this room. And there's a real contrast where he's unhappy in this, and because his family's not there, but in this really grand Berlin ballroom versus just the terrible conditions. Like, all there is at Auschwitz is the house and his office. That's all we see. And by comparison, they're very, very bland. But his heart is back with his work, where he was killing people, and also his family. Probably also that too. But Yeah, so my wife, she talks to me a lot about her job the same way that he talks about his procedural, systematic killing job. Yeah, and I really liked that contrast. There's one shot where he's looking out of a window, and it gives almost a reverse shot to, like, he's looking at his family, like, in the house, the way the editing works. So there's windows in the building across the wall that look similar to the window he's looking out of. So that was fun. There's another part at the end where it cuts to the modern day. So he's leaving. He's going back to Auschwitz finally to see his family. And he's walking downstairs and he turns and looks. And then it cuts to modern day. We see these janitors going through Auschwitz, sweeping up the junk and, cleaning the glass behind which there are these piles of shoes from, they took them from the Jews whenever they went in there. They have the uniforms that they wore hung up. Now it's a museum, but it's very provoking in the sense that, like, is the movie, or not is the movie saying, but should I take away from this that we are sort of doing something similar with the Holocaust, where we have this separation of time and space? We don't care about it. Is it about the way that we put tragedy on display? There's so many provoking ideas in that sequence where it then cuts back to him and he's like, all right, well, walking back down the stairs, off to go do more Holocausting. That part is really good. A lot of good edits in it. And then
there's an interesting aspect in, like, the final act where he kind of has this, like, visceral reaction. He starts retching, like, for no reason. He goes, gets checked out by, like, an army medic, and they don't seem to find anything. And it's almost like the cumulative effects of, like, he doesn't show on surface, and obviously he's still, I suppose, getting all out of his job and everything. But it's almost like the natural human reaction is sooner or later it all builds up, and you will have some kind of reaction to the horrors you've committed.
Well, and
it's like,
is it the
unconsciously kind of,
is it the horrors he committed, or is it the, like, his distaste for where he is physically in Berlin, where, like, he has that separation from his old job and his family, and he's like, oh, I don't know.
It could be. It could be that. I think I prefer to read the fact that even that this kind of unfeeling monster, it's sort of sinking in, even though he's not registering on conscious level. His body is registering it.
Sam, I love your optimism, but go read anything from him, and there's a part where. We see the teenage son. Like I mentioned, he locks the brother into a thing, but he has this confidence of, like, I could torture you, I could lock you up, I could do whatever I want and face no consequences, where we could see how does someone become what hosts. I'm pretty sure it's hosts. It's H_OSS, and I think that's host, but I could be wrong. What was the other? I mean, there's also these cool surreal moments where, they'll be shooting flowers and then it fades into a completely red screen, and then it goes into this negative shot where a girl is running around, like, putting food in piles for workers, like the Jewish workers, to come and be able to eat. And Glazer got to actually sit down with the woman who inspired that role shortly before she died. And, he was reading, like, what were the Jews who worked in their house, like, what was their experience like? And he really got a lot of that detail down. And Sam, you alluded to this or mentioned it earlier, but he set up 10 cameras around the house. They're on, like, Kubrick angles. So he said his favorite filmmaker is Kubrick, and you can see it in these shots. It looks like shots from Dr. Strangelove. On that, like, corner in square rooms. And people were just wandering around improving, basically. Like, it's really cool whenever you know that. I didn't know it beforehand. I thought this was all scripted, but they're in character, walking around, just living life.
Which has made me think. I'm just checking. Oh no! I was going to say, why wasn't this nominated for editing then? Because you've had the mammoth effort to whittle down those hundreds of hours of footage, to what we end up with.
However, we have to come to this quickly. It was nominated for director. because we didn't say director. Where everyone complained that Greta Gerwig didn't get nommed. But let's feed on.
I would take out Nolan, by the way, if we were going to put her in over one of them.
Ooh. I mean, Nolan's going to win this category again. I don't think there's much.
He shouldn't.
Really.
How? How is he going to win over Glazer?
I'm not saying he should. I'm not saying that's right.
That's fair.
What's going to happen?
I don't know that I can say that with any level of confidence.
It's like I don't. It was a very well directed film, but I still don't want him to get it. It's not like I can complain about the direction, but I still kind of. It's almost like out of principle, like nothing against him.
Yeah. So for me, I think of the director category, because like I say, he skipped over. I think for me, it would be between Jonathan. If I was given the award, it would probably be Jonathan Glazer. Maybe close runner-up, Justine Triet, because I think they're both good. They're just they're not not showily directed films, but they're so kind of masterfully done, just to achieve.
I think now it's kind of a Scorsese movie comes out, he's going to get the director nom, and probably after this Nolan comes out, he will get a director nom just by default. It's just something that happens. I was going to say, again, I've only seen Killers and Oppenheimer. You know me in modern movies. But Nolan's going to get it just without blinking. I can tell you, Nolan's going to get it. I
sure hope not. I don't think he is even close to, like, of these that I've seen, and then knowing Lanthimos's work, just that would be the dumbest decision ever. It's because at that point it's not even like a body of work thing, because it's not like he's had all these amazing movies that have been nominated for Best Picture and he's had Best Director and he's never got. No, this is just the best movie he's made that isn't Dunkirk. Like, and
getting on for exception, right?
On the the setup for the cameras, apparently it was referred to by Glazer as Big Brother in the Nazi house. So, they built a they took a house that was next to Auschwitz and they refurbished that into the house used in the film. But Hoss's home is still like on the. I don't know if you would say on the property, because I don't know how it's all divided up. I would assume that Auschwitz owns it, but who knows? And there was just painstaking work put into the sound design on every level from that guy. And I think what makes this movie great, like we've kind of glossed over it here, but you look at the movie Come and See, which is very in your face, purposefully. That the cover for the Criterion's the wide-eyed boy. We see the horrors of war. We see every terrible thing happening in Ukraine during that movie. Down to like, we're gonna round a bunch of people up in a barn and set it on fire. Like, you see everything. And then in this movie, it's the complete opposite. You see nothing. You see a few Jews who work in the house who seem to have decently nice lives as far as Jews in the Holocaust go. Maybe one time one of the girls messes up bringing a second cup of tea and she says, "Oh, are you mocking me? Maybe I should have my husband throw your ashes into the river," or whatever. It's just such a different take on World War II movies, and I really like that. I like the way he approached it. Learning the behind the scenes stuff improved it for me even more. So
I think the people that are complaining about it, again, I haven't seen it, I've just heard you talking about it. From what you were saying with people complaining, "Oh, it's so boring, I've seen it before." What they've seen is they've seen things like the flashback in like X-Men or The Pianist, where it's all them in a thing. It's like,
they haven't seen The Pianist.
Shoot them, line them up against the bar, that kind of thing, and it's not a kind of banal, mundane. This is actually how the inner lives of the people that are doing this, rather than their outward persona of, you shoot them against the wall, you're Jewish scum kind of. Or
like,
why are we speaking English?
Ralph Fiennes in Schindler's List is like, he's a cartoon character. Like, it's a great movie. Like, no offense to Spielberg, great performance, all that. Like, but compared to this, I cannot think of a World War II movie that shows the banality of evil in the Holocaust. Like, The scene that kind of comes to mind with me for that is that scene in that one movie where Hitler's really mad, and it's often a meme scene. I can't remember what that movie's ever called.
Downfall.
Yes, Downfall. Like, when I'm thinking of the banality of the Nazis, that's the only movie I could think of, but nothing is coming to mind for me. It's always the extreme evil of the Nazis.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I think a lot of that is because it's told from an Anglo-US side of it. And yes, obviously this is an Anglo-American side, but it's kind of focusing on the individuals that are in this power to begin with, rather than the heroes of the story.
Kieran, I would contest that that presentation of it as an Anglo perspective, because he did go so much to first-hand sources. And
by Anglo I mean it was made by an Englishman.
Yeah. I mean, but I think that's the only English thing about, like, everything else is at least European.
Okay, then. Following on this, because the time is running on, do you think this should get Best Picture?
Well,
let's go to the big one.
I haven't seen the other 6 that I haven't seen.
From the ones that you've seen.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I've seen Killers, Barbie, Oppenheimer. I think I would put it over Killers for the not novelty, but like, it's a different kind of movie. So I would put it over that, but I'm likely going to go, Sam. You've actually seen movies, so go.
Okay, yeah, no, I should say. So I've sort of done a little mini ranking of the 9 of the 10 I've seen. So my favorite is Pop. I haven't seen American Fiction.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So my favorite of the crop nominees is Poor Things. I mean, I just love Yorgos madness. Then Zone of Interest, obviously fantastic. Can't really fault it. And then after that, kind of Anatomy of a Fall and Killers of Fire Moon are probably about kind of equal third for me. And then after that, you have Barbie and Oppenheimer, kind of again joint, and then the rest can fight for the rest of the list basically. But yeah, this is Zone of Interest is definitely up there for me.
I mean, the ones I've seen, again, I've seen Barbenheimer, Killers, and then I've seen Past Lives. I actually prefer, out of all of them, I really enjoyed Barbie. Out of those 4, again, I can't comment on the rest. And one of the reasons, again, is in the UK, quite a lot of them come out within like January, February. So I haven't had time. They haven't had time to get onto the streaming service for me to get them. I think like Poor Things was released like a month ago. And so
I had to buy Zone of Interest, so it like just released on streaming here. You can't even rent it.
I mean, let's be honest. Oppenheimer is going to get it.
We keep saying this. I don't know if that's true here.
What else? I'm not saying it should.
No, I know,
but it will.
I don't know if I believe that it will. Like what?
It's got the momentum. I think it's
got the momentum. It's won it pretty much everywhere else. It's just in that zone. Like it's one of the things where it's kind of, it could not win, but you'd be stupid to bet against it. Like nobody would fault you for putting money on, if that makes sense. It's not a guarantee, but it's the front runner, and
and good. For me, it's a good movie. So it was one of the best big screen experiences I had last year. But I just think some of the other nominees are better.
All right. Well,
it was very good. But,
Vegas does agree with you. It has the best odds at. It says 1 to 20. I don't know why it's that instead of 20 to 1. But then Poor Things 28 to 1. So there you go.
But
Yep.
I don't agree with it. I mean, my favorite film of last year was Godzilla -1. I think that should be in there, but there was no way Godzilla -1 was going to get nominated for Best Picture. No way in hell.
I just feel like the way the Academy has gone the last few years, like they don't just do the biopic anymore. Like I just feel like they would do something a little more out of the box. After Everything Everywhere and Parasite and whatever I'm
Past
failing
Lives
to
is in there.
remember.
And Anatomy of a Fall's in there. You know, Past Lives are very, very quiet romantic drama. So it's that's kind of their off the wall.
Well,
one, I think.
then again, I didn't see Coda, but I forgot that one. So, but yeah, I would put Zone of Interest in like the winner. It reminds me of most recently is Nomadland, like in that it's a very modern looking. They're shot kind of not in similar ways, but like the way the grading and stuff like that is done, the look of it color wise and lighting wise, very natural.
Yeah. And it's quiet and kind of contemplative and I suppose innovative technologically, but not in like a showy way. So
yeah. And what was the other thing with it? Glazer said he didn't want to aestheticize the Nazis and make it like crazy red lights and all the fun stuff. So I don't think that would have fit at all with the movie anyway. But yeah. And Glazer, by the way, also Ashkenazi Jew. Family at some point, I think maybe like the early 1900s, came from kind of the Ukraine area. So to escape persecution, unsurprisingly. So there you go.
And with that, we've gone full circle back to the Ukraine conflicts.
Yes. Yeah.
Roundabout.
Kieran, thank you for bringing something not depressing to the. Although I think my Zone of Interest coverage was not. The movie's more depressing than I'm making it sound. I know I'm making phone conversations with your secretary right before you're about to. Trigger warning: rape a prisoner is it's not funny, but it's very odd. It's an odd feeling the movie creates. So yeah.
And you know what? No, I will say that at least last year, for Best Picture, they did go out on a limb because obviously it was Everything Everywhere All at Once they got it, which in the nicest way I don't think anybody in the world was expecting. But you know what? They have made decent choices occasionally, and I don't think anyone was going on that when it came in. Then again, some of the others that are in there, Avatar, Top Gun, we're never going to win. So yeah, but then they have gone for weird ones like Coda again in 2021.
Oh, is Coda weird?
No, it's just like a not obvious one to pick. I think going in, everybody was going. It's going to be Belfast. Or Power of the Dog. So, like, it's just one of those. Sometimes the Oscars, throw something weird up, like Shape of Water. Let's be honest, who expected Shape of Water to get it?
I know what I know what we probably think our own answers to this are, but do we think that popularity, like, probably should play a factor into Best Picture in terms of like, well, it's got to be a movie at least some people saw, like not popular movie Oscar, but Oppenheimer, people saw it, whereas Zone of Interest.
I have noticed there is no popular movie Oscar this year.
I don't think there should be a separate category like they tried with the Golden Globes. I think just get some box office hits in there. I think just
or make good box office hits
that people are actually aware of. Yes.
Yeah, but then I also don't think that the box office should be the reason why it goes into Best Picture, because we all know there are some absolute stingers that make a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah. Well,
Avatar too.
All I meant is the ones that are nominated, should we go for the ones that are the most, maybe not commercially, maybe commercially successful is how you equate popularity, but you just look at the 10 and go, well, the top one out of this, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, thankfully, they have put Barbie in there because they could have not done that, and that was the biggest hit of last year. So at least they did something right for that, and Barbie did get the nom. So
cool. All right. Well, thank you for watching us talk about, for me and Kieran, lots of movies we didn't see, and for Sam, the Oscars.
Sorry we went so long. But had a good discussion.
That's all right.
To be honest, I think if you're in it after half an hour, you're in it to the end.
Yeah, and nobody was in it, so win-win for
It
us.
will be on Spotify afterwards, obviously.
And
Spotify and Apple Music or wherever you get your podcasts.
yeah, we until next time though, we'll be back with something else. Until then, guys, where can people find you?
You can find me at SSP Thinks Film and at the Film Magazine, where I've updated my my list of Oscar Best Picture nominees not in the English language. They're up to a whole 17 over 96 years now, so good for them.
You know, if it was released in the last 2 years, it wouldn't even fill 2 years worth.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, as for me, hopefully you don't find me anywhere. If you do, I'm K Judgmental across the various places, and at Film Magazine, where I've got a review of Rebecca up, the 1940 Best Picture winner, the only Best Picture winner for Alfred Hitchcock to win, and the only one in history to win Best Picture, but not to get Best Director, any acting roles, or writer. The only one in history.
Interesting.
It's quite funny.
Wow.
And but before I tell you where you can find me, I just remembered there was a line in the movie Zone of Interest where they say, oh, I found a diamond in a tube of toothpaste. Crazy where those people would hide stuff, as there's like a Jewish servant walking through. And she goes, I'm going to buy more tubes of toothpaste just in case. And like, oh my God. Oh, it's so chilling, but also, oh man, it keeps getting to me. You can find me.
Zone of Interest, if you couldn't tell.
I did. I was interested. It's in my zone of interest. You can find me at Jacob Film Guy. I wrote something sometime recently. Maybe not, though. You can go read it, whatever I wrote. So you can also support the Film Magazine. You can go to our Redbubble store. You can get that down in the description. Buy stuff. We have cool movie phone cases or stickers or whatever grabs your fancy. You can also just give us money. We take cash, or digital cash. Yep, all that. So that is
I'm
it.
just going to put in one comment very, very quickly. I'm going to write If I'm Just Ken doesn't win Best Song, because it's great.
Yeah, it's a good song. Very catchy. And anywhere else, we would be a 10. So thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.